The Biden administration announced that the Transportation Security Administration will no longer enforce the federal mandate requiring masks in all U.S. airports and onboard aircraft. Congratulations.
First time in 2 years.
I just love these videos we're seeing on airplanes everywhere as airlines everywhere celebrated the death of the CDC's power-grabbing mask mandate for travelers using public transportation. Yesterday, federal judge Catherine Kimball Mizelle ruled that the CDC exceeded its statutory authority. Judge Mizelle also said the CDC never clearly explained its broad mask mandate. Hours after her ruling came in, most major airlines immediately celebrated by dropping their mask mandates. The announcement caught the White House off guard, however. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki scrambling to explain why this policy was even in force in the first place.
Why is it that we can sit here in the White House briefing room with no masks, but people can't sit in an airplane cabin with no masks?
Well, Peter, I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. That I'm aware of. If you're a doctor, I wasn't aware of that today.
Jen Psaki isn't a doctor. Who knew? Well, let's bring in the people responsible for handing the Biden administration another blow to its power-grabbing agenda. Welcome the president and founder of Health Freedom Defense Fund, Leslie Manookian, and the group's lead counsel, Brant Hadaway. Leslie, Brant, first off, thank you. Thank you. We were talking ahead of the show. I'm a mom with small children. It's just such a nightmare to travel with the mask mandates. And congratulations on your legal victory.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, and nothing makes me happier than seeing all these videos and photographs of smiling faces. We've had dozens and dozens sent to us, people just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's a wonderful time for us all.
Yeah, I imagine you're going to be heroes everywhere you go, where people know exactly who you are, definitely for the moms. Now, Brant, I want to ask you, why was it so important for the Health Freedom Defense Fund, both you, Leslie and Brant, to shut this one down?
Well, as we've seen with a lot of the COVID tyranny since early 2020, it was important to lay down a marker in terms of limits. Now we've tolerated what I would call a post-constitutional order, where the President of the United States and his administration seem to be granted a sort of exception to the separation of powers that was laid down under our Constitution, and have engaged in extra-legal conduct on a repeated basis. And this was just another example of trying to do something to restore the rule of law and restore the constitutional balance here between the federal government and the states, and between Congress and the executive branch.
Now, Leslie, when you started this, did you believe you would be successful? Because it seemed like the airlines have really embraced it, right? And the Biden White House had no intentions of doing away with it. So did you go into this thinking that you would be successful this soon?
Well, I do believe that we are a nation of laws, and the law is very clear. FDA has stated that masks are emergency use authorized, which means that they cannot be mandated. Secondly, you have a separation of powers. Congress makes laws, and federal agencies can enact rules which become have the force of law if they follow proper procedures, but neither of those things were done. And the statutory authority under which they claim to have authority to do this didn't exist. And so we were actually pretty optimistic that we were on the right side of this. And I think it's also really important that Americans understand that if we cede this ground to the federal government, what else can they tell us to do? CDC is broadly charged with general public health issues like sanitation and bringing in contaminated or infected animals into the country and things like this. CDC has a recommended vaccination schedule for a reason. It's only recommended because the CDC is not charged with dictating health policy across the country. That power is reserved to the states. And so we were pretty optimistic that we would win. And we think this is a really important line in the sand to draw in order to ensure that the federal government stays within its bounds.
Yeah, I was a reporter at the White House during the time that the CDC started giving out these guidances, and it was really amazing to see the administration and the government just turn over this power to the CDC. But I think the question that most of us have, Brant, especially myself, is will this order stand, Judge Mizell's order? Is it final, or will there be a contest to it? Can it be overturned?
That's up to the Biden administration. And it's really a political decision that they have to make. On the one hand, they could say, well, we have to do something to make sure that, we can do this in the future, even if we don't intend on keeping it in place now. On the other hand, if they take this up on appeal and should try to get the order reversed, they will have some political blowback. I mean, the mask rule has been increasingly unpopular even among liberals in Congress, and I think the administration was under growing pressure to lift it. And I think in a way the judge did the administration's job for them by removing what was a politically difficult situation from the table and allowing them to move on without having to disappoint their sort of mascot wing of their party.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think this is probably a relief for the Biden White House, given that they were facing quite a bit of pressure from several House Democrats, particularly. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you, and congratulations, Leslie and Brant. I'll look at booking my next trip now.
Okay. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. It's great to be with you, Arnold.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to donate to the Health Freedom Defense Fund or become a member, head over to their website, healthfreedomdefense.org.